This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Okay, I was speaking to a friend about shrinkage.
Oh, yeah?
And I didn't know this, but did you... What's happening? There's something happening in the studio. What's going on?
It's all right. I'll be completely honest, my headphones had broken, but
Okay.
they seem to be working now.
Okay.
I have, these things happen.
That was there was gesticulation. You know when actors say, can you not stand in my eye line? It's a bit like
Christian
that.
Bale.
Anyway, so, shrinkage.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. Here's a question. What's felt?
What?
Do you mean in terms of the material?
Yeah, the material felt,
Not
the
just
fabric.
Emotions, what is
What
felt?
is it made out of?
Yeah, did it
Felt.
happen? Pardon?
It's made out of felt.
No, I'm afraid it becomes felt.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I didn't know this, I was told. But,
Okay.
felt, it's been around my whole life.
Yes.
I had no idea what it was.
When did you first get introduced to felt? Because obviously fuzzy was my intro.
I tell you what happened. I was talking to a female friend about shrinkage, and she pointed out that she'd put a jumper in the wash that week, and it had come out like a tiny teddy bear jumper. And that's all. And I've said, whenever I've seen shrinkage in wool, it becomes so sturdy.
It does.
Its smallness is accompanied by sturdiness. Like Napoleon, who we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
And she said to me, that's because felt is shrunken wool. Well, who knew?
I did not know that.
No, that was... And I've grew up, felt, I have to say, when I was growing up, it's quite a big deal.
Yeah.
The world of children's games when I was growing up, it was based on felt, built on felt. I used to see games with that. It's a beauty. Was that felt or was that sort of?
It would have been a felt pit.
It was a sloppy felt. That one. I don't know. That was one of the lesser felts. That was like the brushed denim
Yeah.
of the felt world. Who can forget though? Those of you who ever knew it, fuzzy felt.
Fuzzy felt. I was very committed to fuzzy felt.
That was
I had all of them.
That was a big deal.
Did you have the farm?
I had the farm. I bought the farm.
You bought the farm.
Do you know fuzzy felt, Pierre? You're looking like what are you talking about?
Frank, what about the fuzzy felt hospital? I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to go in there for any serious procedures.
No.
But it was something else.
The thing, what fuzzy
Pierre what
felt
it was. He doesn't
Pierre,
know.
was a piece of felt
Okay.
That's it, really. It's not
with
really
some
more than
smaller pieces of felt cut into the shape of,
that. Things.
par exemple, animals for the fuzzy felt farm, and you stop them on. Now, for
Or
me,
a nurse.
the distinctive thing about fuzzy felt was that it was no fuzzier than any other felt.
There was no fuzzy.
No, I don't know why it got that nickname, unless the person who invented it was very nearsighted.
Yeah.
And eventually they took them to one side. They said, look, like this week, we've had fuzzy slinky, fuzzy snakes and ladders. What you need, Paul, is an eye test, mate.
And also, Frank, wasn't it essentially, was it fuzzy felt or was it Velcro felt?
Oh, I don't think there was any Velcro.
It was quite Velcro-ish.
It was adhesive, but it hadn't got those horrible, the hairs of a fly's leg
Yes,
that
exactly.
constitutes Velcro. It hadn't got that horrible.
Little hooks.
Anyway, this morning's texting, what's the difference between felt and baize?
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Any felt responses? No.
There should be. Do you know what? I've got faith in our readers.
Yeah.
I think I can see them knowing their way around a bit of fuzzy felt, Noddy.
Are you familiar with the... this is something that one hears said now and again, is that people say, "Oh, whenever I smell blah, blah, it takes me back to Vienna." When I was with Sounds.
Yes.
Someone was talking to me about when they got off a plane in somewhere like Kuala Lumpur, and they smelt the honey, well, I don't know, some flowers or other. And they said whenever they smell them, they're back in Kuala Lumpur. Like, you know, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys have any of those, but I used to work, when I left school, I say left, I worked in factories for a few years, and it was a life of getting up at 6 a.m, wrapping your sandwiches in greaseproof paper, standing at the bus stop in the dark, and then spending 8 hours amidst swarfiga and the buzz of lathes. And it was, I don't look back on it with any joy. It was in many ways brutish, but whenever I bleed a radiator and inhale that air that comes from it, I'm back in the factory. Oh man, it's such a time travel thing.
That sort of metallic,
Yes,
stale air.
metallic. Yeah. Oh
It's a
man,
lovely industrial smell.
it is.
I find.
Oh man, I'm back in Oldbury with my overalls on.
I do feel that. I mean, obviously milk.
Oh, obviously milk.
Wait, obviously milk.
That'd be a great band name.
Yeah.
It's a new Oasis
With a comma.
album.
With a comma.
obviously, comma. I am immediately transported to a very small desk and very small chair in primary school.
Really?
Are you not? Do you just
Oh,
the milk
because
smell?
when the days of free milk at school.
Warm milk.
I
warm milk
thought
with a
you
straw.
were too young to
Au
remember that.
contraire. But I do find also certain cleaning products
Yeah.
are very Proustian for me. There's the Philippines. I can't smell any sort of bleach without thinking of the Philippines, because everywhere smelt like there.
Did you?
Everywhere smelt quite bleachy.
Melted bleach. Perhaps
I
someone
like
had been
that.
scouring the country for something. We should explain Proustian, because
I do apologise.
yeah, is that he's a French bloke who wrote a book about having it's a cake, isn't it?
Madeleine.
Is that a cake, a Madeleine?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a little cupcake
And he tastes it, and he has the memories come flooding back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got that with rain on hot tarmac, which is an unusual, that sort of evaporating rain.
Petrichor. Yeah.
That's South Africa for me, because it's one of the only places where you get hot rain.
Oh, I see.
Very rare to smell that in the UK, obviously.
I only know the word petrichor because it was used as a password in a Doctor Who episode once.
It's very Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
It might well have been the Doctor's wife, even written by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, here we go. Frank.
Who can say?
Fuzzy
Lots
felt.
of people, lots of men my age can say. Carry on.
Fuzzy felt news.
Okay.
530.
Did he?
530. It's the board that's fuzzy. I'm giving this tone that's perhaps not there.
No, I like that.
It's the board that's fuzzy, not the felt. Fiona from London, en route to Westerham for a
What?
birthday breakfast with Barbara.
Well, if it's the board that's funny, not the felt, why is it called fuzzy felt, not fuzzy board? That's another question. Oh, the questions are coming. So many questions, so few answers. But I think it was it Jimmy Cliff who said there are more questions than answers?
Was it?
Could have been. You're only adding to the problem with that sort of
I know, 8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, our readers are enjoying this fuzzy felt. We've got some fuzzy felts and some smells coming in.
Oh, okay.
Ruth Jordan, after Frank's vivid description of factory life, I think he should contact the fuzzy felt people about making a fuzzy felt factory set.
Oh, yes.
The little man in overalls based on himself. The box could be impregnated with swarfiga
Yes.
and radiator water for added authenticity.
That would be, yeah, sort of. There used to be a sort of smell around thing, didn't those things? I think it was experimented with in North American cinemas, where they would send in the smells of things that were happening in the film.
Smell-o-vision.
Yeah. Didn't catch on, obviously. Well, that's a nice idea. I'd like Fuzzy Felt Factory would have been okay. You could have the toilet with like the labourers hiding in there like we used to.
We've had a lot of people getting in touch saying they find wet leather very evocative.
Okay.
I know you're a fan of that as well, with your friends in the S&M community.
Yes.
When I met the nose of Dior...
Oh, of course, the nose of Dior.
I apologise. There were two noses I met. I met the nose of Dior. This was the nose of Vuitton. He's a different man.
Can you just briefly explain, in case anyone doesn't know, what a nose is in that context?
A nose is in the fragrance industry. A nose, essentially, that's what they specialise in, is they sometimes insure their nose for a lot of money. But they are
so they can smell perfume and say, oh, there's a bit of sandalwood in this.
They're olfactory specialists. So
they worked in an olfactory as well. I worked in an old factory. Yeah, when one of those guys, when they bleed the radiators, it must be like being thumped in the face. Man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine one of those guys?
Oh.
You know, those, oh, no, monsieur, I must just go and bleed the radiator. As if they'd even know what it was. It's one of my last sort of male domains, bleeding the radiator.
Well, that's why, Frank, they will. So leather, I remember the nose of Louis Vuitton had said leather was very evocative. People really responded to leather, the smell of leather. So there was a perfume he'd created where they had used aromas trying to recreate the smell of old leather suitcases.
Really?
I always wonder.
Imagine if balls smelt wet leather in a thing, they'd go absolutely crazy.
Yes. I always wonder how they get the smells into things where you sort of, when I was a kid, I'd hear this stuff and I'd think, is there just a big sort of pot where you're boiling old suitcases and sort of going, maybe this will do it?
I think maybe. Oh, that's a terrible image, because I love luggage.
Oh, yes.
So much. Unwheeled.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't.
the idea of, I told you, I once went to somewhere like Christie's, and there was a man called Bonnie something he was called.
Oh, I love the sound of him.
Yes, he was a sort of he was a socialite.
Of course he was. He was called Bunny.
Yeah, and I bought several of his old suitcases. I bought about 5, lovely, sort of sloppy, like sort of things you'd see at Hogwarts with people's belongings in.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Wouldn't you find it satisfying to sort of shot put or discus an old suitcase into an enormous industrial vat?
No.
To spin and hurl the thing into this boiling pot?
I had a friend who worked in the dyeing shop at the Royal Opera House, and I went to see her once, and she was just in a bra and pants and a pair of dungarees with a massive sort of kneading stick over a steaming cauldron, sweat dripping off her, making some perfectly nice costumes look old for the peasantry. And I thought, that looks like hard work. Yeah. I imagine the suitcases when you got things like buckles and stuff to be dealing with. Awful.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
One thing that we don't get the chance to talk about enough is music, because we're spread across the decade channels. Everyone who listens to this on absolute 80s or noughties, it gets different music, so we don't really get a chance to talk about what we're playing. However, I thought it'd be nice to have a sort of musical texting. So I don't know what you think about this, but what I was looking for was unexpected politeness in song lyrics.
Love that.
And I don't know how much of it is about, but I was struck by it the other day. I was listening to a bit of Hendrix when in the middle of a crazed sort of visionary song he says, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky." I was very polite. So polite, Jimmy. I know there's something like very maverick and wild about him, but still very polite.
Yeah. So
Ex-military, of course, Jimmy.
Yes. So someone sort of doing an enormous guitar solo with some lyrics that end with "if you please."
Just any unexpected politeness in a song lyric, I'd be happy with.
Regarding Proustian smells,
yes.
the agent has tweeted us.
Oh, he's been in touch. About time.
And they say, the smell of a Glaswegian close, which meant I was visiting my gran. Or the smell of a Glaswegian close. Yes.
Yes, so
That sounded
did
like
they do that joke? No. Oh, that's your joke.
It sounded
Let's
like
just get the credits right.
That's right.
Yeah, it sounded like a euphemism.
A Glaswegian close has got a distinctive smell.
According to the agent. I can't imagine what it is.
I don't like the agent.
Why is it turned into some weird spy film?
That sounds like someone who was buying a flat. According to the agent, a Glaswegian close.
It sounds like someone who's been hired to kill me.
Exactly.
I don't like the agent. I mean, I like the agent. I just don't like the
I'd like to know what a Glaswegian close smells of as well.
Is there some particular sort of plants or trees that are popular in Glasgow sort of suburban areas?
There aren't, no. Is it going to be some sort of, stereotype, the smell of whiskey and
sort of bagpipes,
deep fried Mars bar? Is that what's going to come out of this?
When you bleed your bagpipes, the air that comes out, Frank.
When you bleed your bagpipes, it will be forever.
Al Sherwood, grinder dust, which is the smell creates when cutting concrete with a power grinder, is so... I love how specific Al Sherwood is. It's so super...
I thought grinder dust was the magic that comes from secret encounters.
Okay, we knew what you thought.
So what is it again?
It's so super distinctive. It's the smell created when cutting concrete with a power grinder.
Wow.
It's so super distinctive, and it instantly takes me back to 20 years working on laying patios with my dad. Anyone who knows that smell will testify how recognisable it is.
Well, I was talking to a ghost tour marshal this week. And he was saying that many of the constituents
It's the marshal.
many of the constituents of red brick and concrete are also present in videotape. And he thinks thus there is a possibility, and apparently this is a widely held view in the occult, well, I suppose there'd be the non-occult world, scientific / occult world, that that is what ghosts are. They have been captured by this material because it's got the same stuff as videotape. So people are recorded by substances in the brickwork. I asked him if he was familiar with the canine celebrity Scooby-Doo, and the conversation drizzled away after that.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Dr. Thomas, the smell, Associate Professor in Psychology, Dr. Thomas Hunt, the smell of the filler that is used to fill holes in cars created by rust. In the 80s and 90s, my granddad used to be constantly sorting his car out to the point where half his car was filler. I know the feeling here. The whiff of it always...
I've done TV shows like that. Can't remember what they smelled of. Well, I can, but I can't say it on air.
Yeah. The whiff of it always reminds me of my granddad.
That's nice.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes. And how nice to hear a positive smell associated with the elderly.
Yes.
Well, some other elderly smells. Gaz Potsy, Nivea hand cream. My grandma always used to wear it, especially in the evening. Oh, by the evening, Granny. Strange time to
see. You know what I've said to you, that the robe. I've never worked out the window for when you wear the robe. Hand cream. I was once almost locked in my own toilet. I applied hand cream because we'd been washing our hands a lot because of the global pandemic, and I put hand cream on, and then I couldn't get any purchase on the handle, and I thought, oh my, I'm trapped. I'm trapped in here, and that's the problem. Is you've constantly got like those terrible cream
grease.
Oh,
no, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I don't know how often trapeze artists
also,
use hand
I'm
lotion.
slightly phobic about. I've got a slight aversion to people rubbing their hands together,
like scheming.
Well, I don't exactly. It is a bit cartoon greed, so I think maybe I'm just. I don't know, I'm automatically biased. I've got some unconscious bias against it. It's a bit sort of despicable me. I don't like it.
Yeah,
and so
especially if you're on a plane flying back, say, from the West Indies at the moment, and you can hear, in first class, and you can hear that big blonde bloke doing it just behind you, rubbing his hands.
Hand cream accompanied by a low, sinister chuckle.
I don't like it when women put hand cream on. I don't mind them doing it, but don't do it in front of me.
Nivea cream, was that the one that became a sort of underground mosquito repellent? Do you remember there was a...
I don't dwell underground, I don't know.
Oh, there was a cream that was just like a moisturiser, and people found out that they started using it in the military, I think, to repel mosquitoes.
Could be.
Faye's nodding. Do you know what it was, Faye? Okay, Faye's not nodding anymore.
Avon.
Sarah, the producer.
Avon.
She came in.
Repelled the mosquitoes. We have a clarification.
The late winner.
Hold it, clarification time. Let me get my clarification. I don't really have one, but we'll try it. Well, just do this
So
anyway.
you don't really have one. You don't have one.
I don't have one. Michael Morpurgo. A man who specialises in clarity. Okay.
4732 says, hi guys. A close in Glasgow is a block of flats, usually 3 or 4 stories, with a shared entrance and stairs to the flats on the upper floors. In the long ago days of inner city slums, they were known as tenements.
Right.
So I think a Glaswegian close, it was that damp smell of inside a sort of concrete stairwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been
We won't say where the damp came from, but yes, I can see how that, because it's a belonging and the nostalgia. Beautiful.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Frank, we've heard from our wonderful readers. Brian has got in touch because you've been asking people to submit very polite lyrics.
Yeah, surprising moments of politeness in popular music.
And your example was...
Excuse me while I kiss the sky. Yeah, from Jimi Hendrix.
Excuse yourself, Jimmy.
That's very nice, Jimmy.
Brian?
Lovely lad. Brian says...
He has... I beg your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden.
Oh, that is lovely. I beg your pardon. If you think in relationships... the many things that are delivered by a partner that they didn't promise. You'd be saying, I beg your pardon all the time.
You don't hear it so
but
often.
Lynn Murray actually stuck her neck out and said, I beg your pardon. I'm pretty sure it was Lynn Murray, wasn't it?
Fiona Walsh, stop right now. Thank you very much. The Spice Girls.
Of course.
I mean, if you're saying stop right now, why thank them?
No, but that's because they have
so
stopped.
polite,
Clearly they've
yeah.
stopped and they've
I see.
acknowledged
In the little
they're halting.
I've never read the song that way. I've never read the song in the sense of there being a pause while the activity has stopped.
Yes.
That's-
Stop right now. Oh, thank you very much. now we can talk properly. I just don't want you I don't want a drive-by conversation in this context.
Well, talking of thanks, we also have Mark Allen Queen, we are the champions. You brought me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it. Freddie pauses. I thank you all.
Nice.
Very nice.
And the nice thing about that is it sounds like it's from the heart. To all my fans out there.
Yes.
It's a story.
See, I've got to be honest. J'adore Freddie.
I think Freddie's got a new single out.
A new single?
Yeah,
you say?
my child said Queen's got a new single out, and then he put it on the thing. I'm sure it's not Mark Lambert.
Oh.
It's Freddie. So I think they must have found a bit of undiscovered Freddie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Check it
I
out.
felt Freddie's I thank you all sounded a little bit Elvis. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I think Elvis meant it as well. There was
And that's why I love you.
Adam Faith, the 1960s pop star, who had a hit with "What do you want if you don't want money?" That was his vocal signature. Was on Face to Face, the popular chat show, and he told the story. They said, why are you giving up pop music? He said, someone stopped me in the street and said, could you sign this record? And I said, sorry, I don't know. I'm really in a mad, or something like that. And they said, look, we can make you and we can break you. This person said. And he said, I couldn't cope with, that level of insecurity.
Oh,
Cornish Darren Fewins.
Cornish Darren Fewins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please release me, Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah. Peter gets in touch with, please allow me to introduce myself.
Of course. And that's the voice of the devil.
Yes.
Yeah, always a bit oily, the devil, in his dealings with people.
I know, but his manners are impeccable.
Yeah.
Please
Or
allow me
hers.
to introduce myself.
I love that about the devil, in fairness. Sorry,
Yeah,
Frank.
no, I can
Sorry,
see
Frank.
everybody. Nothing's totally negative.
Matt W. This is a hard relate, I believe the youth would call this. The smell of the car deck on the ferry.
Oh,
Are you familiar with that smell?
well, I was on
Oh.
a ferry at the weekend, and I took the James Joyce across to Ireland from Holyhead. And it's called the James Joyce. So when you go on, there's
Really?
a big wooden carved mural of James
Oh, I thought
Joyce.
this was some sort of Cockney rhyming slang.
No. And we parked on that deck. I didn't really.
Oh, the smell. Are you kidding me?
I didn't really notice it. Well, I was a bit intimidated by the ferrymen.
Oh, don't pay him.
They were doing this.
Don't pay him.
Car on.
I was in the passenger seat, but when we parked, they were very upset that we could have got like another 3 inches closer. So he came over and started doing that gesture of move the car up.
Well, then what else do you want him to do? I said, excuse me, please allow me
Please
to
allow me to
introduce
introduce
myself.
Well, exactly. Can we not learn from the devil on this?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Pippa has been in touch. Thank you very much for the Aintree iron, the scaffold.
Oh, yes.
What is the Aintree iron?
There was some debate about that it might be somehow involved with horse racing.
Oh, yes, it must be.
But I don't know I think it might be one of those mysteries. This week, I was in Coventry this week, and we asked, in fact, the ghost, that's where I met the ghost marshal, marshal.
Yes.
And I asked him where
Does
the
he wear a marshal? Did he wear a tabard?
No, we weren't having a ghost tour. Well, it was just talking about his evening work.
I hope he wears a tabard with Marshall.
Oh yeah,
G. Marshall.
and I imagine he's high vis. You see,
Oh, I hope
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Well, the ghosts
At
have
night.
to. Yeah, because the
Yeah.
ghosts. Well, I don't know. How would they respond to the high vis?
maybe you have to turn that high vis off for them to appear. But anyway, I asked him where the saying "being sent to Coventry" came from.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very unsatisfying, it's something to do with the English Civil War, but it's not quite It's not. It's not a happy explanation.
It's not very...
Not enough.
No, it's not enough. Whereas I was in St Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin this week, and there's a door with a hole in it, and this door used to be the church door, and there was a big fight between two local families, and one man turned up. One family was hiding inside, and he said, "Come on, let's be friends." And they said, "We don't trust you." He knocked a panel out and put his arm through the wall for a handshake and was waiting for it to be chopped off, and it was shaken. And that is where we get the phrase, to chance your arm.
Oh.
See, that's a satisfying explanation.
That's where you were some meat on the bones. That's
Yes.
What about... This is from Potty, Zizi, Finn and Alan the dog.
Okay, it's a famous five. Do you remember the song with Timmy and what was the dog called? Timmy or something?
Timmy.
Yeah.
No. And Timmy the dog.
I think it was.
That's what it
I
did
think
at
it
the
was
end.
Timmy, yeah.
How many syllables did they get out of dog? And Timmy the dog.
You see, I feel George was very much the Gary Barlow of the five, because that's always the name people remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Great.
That was what they used to call the tomboy.
Yes.
Yes.
That was when my Polish cleaner said to me, when I was a girl, I used to climb trees and play football. I said, "You were a tomboy." And she said, "What's that?" And I said, "That's what we call, we used to call girls who were very sort of butch." But she said, "Well, it doesn't make any sense because Tom is a boy's name. It ought to be a girl's name with boy on the end." And I thought, you're right, it doesn't make any sense at all. Thank God you've come to tell me this from afar.
Yes.
I was too close to it, I said. You missed a bit then, I said.
376.
Yeah.
Morning, Frank. Emily. No. Why did I do it? That was strange. I said, "Morning, Frank. Emily and Pierre." He was saying, "Morning, Frank, Emily and Pierre."
Okay.
In the 70s, my dad used to keep a big old ice cream tub with a mixture of water and disinfectant in it, sloshing about in the bottom, in case one of us three children were not well. The smell of green disinfectant takes me right back.
What does that mean? That they had to sip from it or
I
something?
love this father. I don't know, but we need more information. I have a lot of questions.
Well, couldn't he have kept it in the container it came in?
Is this one of those things where they're
Why
trying
is
to
it-
be discreet, and when they say not well, they mean a sort of explosive vomiting?
But still, what
no,
is
but you
happening
wouldn't
with
vomit.
the disinfectant? Was this sort of Donald Trump remedies?
You wouldn't vomit into an ice cream tub of disinfectant, would you? Actually, is that a line from For the Benefit of Mr. Kite from Sergeant Pepper?
944, forgive me, Delilah. Tom Jones.
Oh, yes.
Very nice.
And after he stabbed her, I believe. I felt
Yes.
the knife in my hand and she laughed no more. I mean, he might not have.
Yeah.
Those two might not be connected, those two things.
Like, stop right now.
I
thank you
felt the
very
knife
much.
in my hand, and strangely enough, at that very moment, she laughed no more. Isn't life funny? Anyway, then we had a chat and everything was okay.
Do forgive me.
Yeah. And then who stole that knife in my hand? It's killing me.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Now, Frank,
Can I stop you a second?
You can.
We were talking about...
Oh, polite song lyrics.
we were talking about
Smiths.
Delilah before.
yes.
Is it possible that he didn't kill Delilah? I felt the knife in my hand and she laughed no more. She might have put a knife through his hand.
Hang on. When he says I stood there laughing and then... Or was it she that stood there laughing?
She stood there laughing, yeah.
Why was she laughing then?
Well,
I
because
would laugh if someone was going to kill me.
he'd seen the flickering shadows of love on her blinds,
Well,
if
we've
you
all
remember.
seen those.
Yeah, I think she's just laughing because the idea that she would have cheated on him is so ludicrous. And it wasn't the flickering shadows of love. She was actually doing, you do like a dog's head with your thumb sticking up in front of an OHP. She was actually doing that at home for her own entertainment. And when he accused her, she was so upset, she stopped laughing that she'd been accused, and she stabbed him in the hand. I felt the knife in my hand, and she laughed no more. There is no murder.
We don't get
This
so
is like
many
a-
stories. I love a story in a song. It's the Coco Cabana syndrome. Similar.
It's
I mean,
yeah.
I think of Rico often.
Yeah.
And his diamond.
They often, the old ones had a murder in them.
They always had a murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did what I did for Maria. Do you remember that one?
Oh, did you?
Take an eye for an eye
yeah.
and a life for a life. Somebody must die for the death of my wife.
My lord.
Exactly.
Absolute
Fun to,
radio.
dance. Fun to dance to.
Imagine
So-
if they used that trailer completely out of context.
Slowly getting louder.
Just Frank Skinner saying somebody must die for the death of my wife. Absolute radio. Frank Skinner.
Yeah. There's comedy on Saturday mornings on Absolute Radio. I take an eye for an eye and a life for a life. I just leave it like that.
Very vengeful old-fashioned songs.
Yeah.
Why so vengeful?
Vigilante Justice on Absolute Radio.
Why so vengeful? Pre-1980.
Yeah.
Why So Vengeful is a good title for a song.
Anyway.
Anyway.
On another brief side note, Alexander Bowles gets in touch on Twitter with it's a Proustian smell, but I quite like it as an exclamation of surprise or shock, because he's added 2 exclamation marks.
Okay.
Massive wafts of Catholic incense.
Yeah, that's like when Perry White, the editor of the Daily Planet, used to say, "Great Caesar's ghost."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a good one to use. Mighty wafts of Catholic incense. What's going on here?
It does sound quite it's a little bit like what Robin used to say to Batman as well.
Yeah, all that
it's
stuff,
a bit
yeah.
holy mackerel.
That's it. If you shock the Pope, that's what he would sort of exclaim.
Exactly.
That's his equivalent of swearing.
Yes.
If you shock the Pope, it will be forever. It might be, of course, at his age. God forbid. God forbid.
Oh,
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Speaking of politeness, we've had all the polite song lyrics, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you for the music. That's one that's come in a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we had an advert for someone's touring at the moment. Someone from Pink Floyd, I think, is touring. And their tour is called This Is Not a Drill. And I was thinking that Roy Wood, who used to be in Wizard, who used to paint his face like blue and white and red,
He went
could
out
do
with
a
my
tour.
godmother.
Yeah, did he?
Yeah, when Auntie Lynn, Lindsay DePaul, they dated for a while. She used to say, I dated a guy with green hair. Is that him?
Yeah, he had green hair and then like sort of red and blue face makeup, and he could have a tour, and could have his face on the poster. It could be called This Is Not a Man Drill. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think you should pitch it.
I think we should be distinguished from the apes when we're doing our publicity shots.
Wherever possible.
Sometimes it's just not possible.
Well, speaking of what separates us from animals and good manners.
Oh, I
Yes.
love that.
Good manners,
Good
yes.
manners. Did you see there's a cafe, I think it's up north in Preston, where if you ask for your coffee politely, it costs less money.
What a clever idea. He got it off the internet, I think.
I think
It was, let's do that.
I think it went
yeah.
viral in America, and this guy decided, you know what? My customers are all unforgivably rude.
Yes.
Time to punish them.
Well, it's...
What do you... Sorry, Frank.
It's no, I've got to be... Can I just clear this up from the start?
Yes.
I don't know what... And forgive me my old white guy narrow references.
Sure.
But
Do you know what? I'd listen to that podcast.
yeah.
Many
What
do.
worries me about is the other people who would listen to it if I did it. What is chai exactly?
Chai is just the word for tea, I think.
Oh, is it?
It's black tea with spices, essentially.
Well, if
so
it's
there's a bit of ginger, a few cloves, maybe.
Yeah, it's
Bit of cinnamon.
yeah.
So when you have chai latte,
Chai
there's
tea latte.
So there's no coffee in that.
No,
So you
no.
see,
No.
I think latte very much in the coffee world.
Yeah, I agree. But
Well,
it's
that's great news
Yeah.
that there's a shop that's specialising in tea.
the chai stop in Preston. The rules
Can I say it's a poor name?
chai stop.
Well, what's the pun?
Well, Frank,
That's
you don't
true.
always have to have a pun.
No,
For
if you're gonna
1970s
sell-
hair of the dog.
If you're
you know.
going to sell chai and you're encouraging politeness, you could call it like chivalry. as in chivalry.
Oh, God.
Par exam.
Oh my God, that is awful.
Well, anyway, I asked 8, 12, 15, if you owned a chai selling place, what would you call it?
Yeah,
And I bet we come up with something a lot better than Chai Stop.
that's true.
Well, I bet we come up with something about a lot than chivalry.
What about if at first you don't succeed? Chai again.
Now that I like.
Yes, well,
I can live with.
I threw in Chai Valry because
I know
it's,
you
it's
did.
based on
We all know.
the sing-along of Max thing, that Max Bygraves, the comedian and entertainer, could always get the crowd singing along with him because he was a rubbish singer. So they thought, oh, well, if he's not ashamed, neither are we. Whereas for Pavarotti, it was always harder. Come on, everybody. In Sharon! Oh, no, I can't. I'm not going there. Let's go, Paul. I'm out my league. So, yes, I'm sure you can beat Chivalry. Even Chivalry is... Wasn't that a Amy Winehouse song? Chivalry. It's better than Chai Stop.
It's very unwieldy, chivalry.
It's better than Chai Stop.
If you called it chivalry,
Is chivalry better than Chai Stop?
I think
8,
it
12,
is.
15.
I think it is.
if you had a name like Chivalry on your shop, you'd have to oblige the customers to be polite to you.
Anyway, I bet you they come up with something better than Chai. With both of those.
I bet too.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Sorry.
Well, Emily found that particularly hilarious.
Can I tell you what I found hilarious?
Yes.
Were some of the submissions from our readers suggestions for chai-based names
Yes.
for cafes?
Yes.
You came up with... I don't think we should... Lest we forget. I think we should go
I
back
think we
down
should
memory
dwell
lane.
on Chivalry.
Oh, no, I'd love to dwell. I'd never want to leave that place.
Look, even
So,
Homer nods.
Frank came up with the idea...
Well,
Yeah.
I was trying to combine the fact we haven't really talked about it yet. We've barely mentioned the fact that the whole thrust of Chai Stop in Preston is to encourage politeness and good manners.
Yes.
So chivalry seemed to me to kill two birds with one stone.
OK, we've got some suggestions.
Okay,
Ray Purchase, the chai's the limit.
that's good.
It's
I
okay.
like it,
I
yeah.
I like that. Stuart Scaife, Live and Let's Chai, table service, no time to chai, deliveries. That's what I was laughing at because I think that's very fine, Stuart.
I like Live and Let Chai particularly.
Ken Jones, come in and chai this.
Oh, it's long, though, isn't it?
It's long. It's quite.
Chai this, surely.
It's very practical.
Chai this would be,
Chai
yeah.
this.
That'd be good. He'd still get the money.
Was
But we've
he?
just trimmed it.
Chivalry.
We've just trimmed this idea. No, I've given up on chivalry. Like I said, that was to encourage others.
Problem is, I haven't, and I never will.
9589 Chai Delilah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't bring Delilah in with her murders. It's not quite right. It's not the brand we want. We want to be a happy place.
That's true.
I like these songs that start with the first word repeated 3 times, though, and then you do the payoff. As in... make 'em up, go, make 'em up, go. Yes. Here's now. I had a thought the other day. This might rescue my current disgrace of chivalry. I was in Farnham.
Good luck.
I was in Farnham, which is where apparently Lady Emma Hamilton used to live nearby.
Near the RAF base, did she live there?
I don't know. She was not at the time. I don't know if when Nelson was around, I don't know if
No.
the RAF was much of a big deal.
No.
It's a twinkle in his eye.
Twinkle in his chai.
There you go.
There you go. Anyway,
I wouldn't drink coffee there.
no.
Not a twinkle
Not
in
if
his
someone's
chai.
had a twinkle in it. But anyway, consequently, I went in a pub in Farnham called the Nelson Arms.
When was this?
And I said, you should have called it the Nelson Arm.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
course.
but they didn't embrace it. Well, it's hard to. But, yeah, so that was...
many lovely little ideas for businesses.
Yeah, I think it's a bit better than chivalry.
A little bit.
I mean, no comment. Dan Everhard, Crimea River.
That's nice. But I mean, what are you saying
Exactly.
then now?
You're going to have to incorporate the river into the cafe,
Yeah.
which I don't know if you're going to get planning permission. There's going to be the risk of flooding.
And also, what about the politeness theme? That's just gone by
That's right.
the wayside.
None of these have incorporated the manners.
Yeah, not at least I managed to the marriage of two. I think what Dr. Johnson called the yoking together of two. The violent yoking together of two heterogeneous ideas. That's what I did.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Gemma, live and let try.
Yeah.
I like that.
Classic.
Yeah, and that's got...
Classic.
When you say classic, the genre hasn't been going that long.
But it hasn't got the politeness.
No.
I think I'm still the only one to juxtapose.
Oh, are you joking? Are you seriously putting forward chivalry again?
I did have a thought. I did have thoughts.
Well, we all had thoughts on chivalry.
I didn't mean to bring them up, but I'm going to. Because I'm a tea drinker of some enthusiasm, I don't drink coffee. Obviously, I see all around me coffee shops rising up, the big chains and all that. It doesn't seem to regularly be a tea. There's no tea chain that you could compare with the big coffee houses. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to fight back for tea drinkers? And you could have Charbox.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I might go to distinguish it for the mono-tail mermaid rather than the split-tail one. And Cafe Tiro. Anyway, I think I've gone far enough into this hole.
Do you think?
Oh, no, listen. I don't want you to leave here today feeling remotely ashamed of chivalry.
You
or
do.
Cafe Tiro.
You've done your best to do that. Oh, I think Cafe Tiro is all right, isn't it?
Pierre, can you help?
Anyway.
I don't know what to do.
Well, I did have a thought.
So did he. Look where that got us.
That's true. Given that if you... So the prices go down...
We should explain
Yeah, we
this.
should explain. We
If
got
you
so
walk
excited.
in and you order a chai, what was the actual nature of the chai?
if you walk in and you say Desi chai...
Yeah. What
That's
does that? Do we know what the Desi element is?
Desi is a sort of general term for South Asian, as I understand it. So India, Pakistan, Bangladesh,
Oh, okay.
Sri Lanka.
So it's
I
a
think.
geographical term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ethnic and geographical.
Okay, so you're saying I'll have a Desi chai. If I just go in and say I want a Desi chai,
That's a fiver.
that's
Yeah.
£5.
That's
Yeah.
a fine.
If I say, could I have a Desi chai, please?
I think that might
£3.
qualify you. Wait, could I?
No.
Maybe that adds
Okay,
layers.
Here's-
just to this.
Here are the rules.
Desi chai, please.
£3.
£3.
Hello, Desi chai, please.
£1.90.
Whoa.
Quite the saving
Whoa.
these days. £3.10.
That's, but sometimes it's worth £5 just for the luxury of being brusque.
Yes. I was going to say, you don't want to know what you have to say for it to cost £50. The obscenities you have to hurl at that man.
I checked into a low-rent Birmingham hotel the other night at about 10 o'clock at night.
Did you?
I walked into a deserted lobby. And the rain was pounding down outside. I was carrying my bag like the Exorcist arriving.
Yeah.
A woman stood behind the counter looking like she was 8 hours into her shift. And I said, hello. I said, how are you? And she said, here. Fabulously loaded reply.
I mean, already it's a hostile opener.
Oh, man. I laughed. I thought it was
I
great.
like it. Did you get on with her?
I did eventually. She did that thing of rattling off the Wi-Fi thing and what time breakfast was. And I said, you sound like you might have said that to someone before, slightly ironically. She said, I say it in my sleep. She said, my kids say it to me because
Really?
I just say it. It's like a thing I just say.
Oh my God! It's a character from a sort of harrowing novel.
It's great. It's like she would keep the desk in a sort of Edward Hopper hotel or some dark American.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but I liked her a lot just because I felt like I'd met a kindred spirit in the night.
Yeah, she'd be a nice friend for you.
Yes, but I think she's. We both have connections.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Oh, in that very same hotel. But one thing that there's been a move towards in hotels that aren't at the very top end of the scale is, you used to get like lovely soap and bottles of shower gel.
Yeah.
You get it all on those. Those things that you get hand sanitizer. I don't know how you describe it. You have to press the top down and stuff squirts out.
Yeah.
But what do you call that sort of squirty press down top?
It's a nozzle, I suppose.
Oh, come on. Breakfast radio. Anyway.
A wall dispenser.
What you
That
get
might be
now.
up there with the top
Yeah.
10 most unreasonable exchanges I've ever heard in my life.
So yes, they have 2 wall dispensers in the shower. Yeah, one is shampoo and one is
I don't
body
like that.
wash. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're on the wall. Sometimes you press them a bit hard and they're just on like double sticky stuff. Anyway, this one, the actual body wash, when one of those nozzles, you keep turning it round, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you just can't press it down. You just won't. So I couldn't get anything out of it.
Isn't
So
it any purchase?
for the first time in my life, I showered completely in shampoo.
You're joking.
Full body shampooing.
Yeah. And
Did you have lovely silky hairs on your chest?
Well, I'm glad that ended where it ended. I mean, had it been...
We all did.
Had it been Pierre, you could see that's a man, who might need shampoo everywhere.
Yes,
But for me...
I'm more like a Chewbacca sort of figure, I think.
No, I'm my
Shampoo the whole body.
I'm not high
He's
on.
more like C-3PO.
I'm very thin and very little body hair.
I'm R2-D2, to be fair. So I'm not.
Oh, I'm more Roswell alien. That's my look.
Olympic swimmer.
Yeah, so I don't need all over. I wasn't even sure if you could do it, if I might get a rash from it. But, needs... I was actually in the shower wet and I just couldn't press this thing. And I could see it had like 3 inches of body wash that I just could not get at.
Can I just establish something? It's very important, this. Are these in containers? Are they fixed containers, or were these sort of plastic bottles?
Yeah, plastic bottles, but they're what they come in. They probably are
I've never
refillable.
experienced this in my life.
Well, you've stayed in probably nice
No, I know.
hotels.
I can imagine the sort of thing you mean, though. It's sort of on... Is it in the little shower area?
Yeah, it's
Got
stuck
it.
to the wall in the
I
shower,
know.
and you press the top of it,
Got it.
and
Yeah.
it squirts out the... I believe the term is nozzle.
You also know from your introduction to the lady at reception that she is not a woman who would be super eager to help you.
Well, I wasn't going to phone down. No, I was in the shower. The water was upon me. I had to think fast.
Yes.
I hate that
did you
because
find the
with
shampoo?
those bottles, they're like, if you can turn them, it's like the combination of a safe. You can turn that nozzle. If you get it in the right position, it will press down. But I just couldn't find the space
You
with
don't want
any
to be
giving
doing
it.
a Hatton Garden robbery when
No.
one is simply trying to clean oneself.
Exactly. It was, if I could turn back time, it was like that. Probably not.
I think it's
Not a great reference.
Is it
I think
my suspicion, my conspiracy theory is that it's a con, that they both have the same unguent
Do you think so? What, so body wash and shampoo are one and the same?
Do you know
I
what?
think they might be.
I think you're right. And I have to say...
Very
Well, you never
suspicious.
see them together in the same... I know, actually, you do see them side by side.
I've been known to use a hand wash as a multi-purpose.
Oh, no.
Really?
On your face, would you use it?
No, not on my person.
Oh.
I've used it to clean trainers.
Hand wash, you say?
Lady Bracknell.
Hand wash?
Wow, no, I'd never mix my... if I'm told that something is for you, for that purpose, that's what I use it for.
I know, but you're very oddly rule-bound.
I am rule
For
bound.
someone who I
As I've
see as a very creative, independent thinker, when it comes to sort of everyday products, it's extraordinary the way you'll stay in your lane.
No, I do. I'm very obedient, as the boys at the club tell me regularly. As I've said before, I have never in my entire life eaten after 8 mint before 8 o'clock. You got to have rules.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I think Sophia may have won it this morning. Do you want to hear why I think that?
I remember Carlo Ponti saying that to me after a game of backgammon.
Carlo Ponti was married to Sophia Loren.
Thank you.
Footnotes provided by.
Thank you.
Sophia,
He was one of the great examples of the he did well remark. Yeah, Sophia Loren was like one of the world's most, well, at least well-known beautiful women. And Carlo was a big...
was he like a man you'd see on an Italian beach?
He was like an Italian beach. That's what he looked like. Anyway,
Do you
God
want
bless
to hear
him.
what Sophia's come up with?
I do.
Try some manners.
Oh,
What do you think?
I like it.
It's the first that has juxtaposed.
It is. It's a little, for me, I might put me off going in.
Yeah.
It's on the front foot, aggression-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Try some manners. All right, I haven't said anything yet.
I'm just here in the street, minding my
Wow.
own
Just
business.
passing, looking at that sign, thinking, well, I could have tried a bit harder.
Samurai Spurs.
Oh, yeah.
I have questions. After I took over, I'd put this sign up. Under new management, : the chimes, they are a-changing. The chai-imes, they are
Okay.
a-changing. Sounds like a nice friend for you,
It
Frank.
does, yeah. I think we are brothers in chai ponnery. Yes.
My issue with there was a photo with the article. I'm not sure if it was an actual photo of the cafe or
Of
a
Desi
photo.
Chai. Oh,
Or a
I,
photo of the concept generally.
Right.
But the owner of the cafe said he hoped that this rule would enforce a, quote, good vibes only culture.
Yes. I think that it looked as if they actually had a neon good
Yeah.
vibes only sign up.
Now, I find it's difficult, isn't it, to enforce good vibes? Because that itself is quite a bad vibe.
yes. I mean, the
don't-
neon sign is becoming very... it's everywhere these days.
I don't mind. I blame Tracy Emin.
Yeah.
I don't mind a general good vibes. The only is menacing.
Yes, that's it.
I think surely I'm allowed to come in on a bad day. Sometimes it's very hard to emanate good vibes. It just things aren't going well.
Yeah.
It is. We were talking off air earlier about the musical theatre song Happy Talk. And the thing is with Happy Talk is they say happy talk, keep talking happy talk. And that keep is very... just that.
Demand.
Yeah, relentlessly talking. I mean, if that was my policy on this show, and I just kept talking happy talk all morning, I feel we'd be getting texts saying, "Come on, Frank, give us a wisp of melancholy."
Compare yourself to the Roswell alien.
Light and shade, please.
It is. That's what people want, light and shade. Of course they do. So good vibes only. It's going to be like, and I speak of my own now, it's going to be a bit Jesus Army.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That smile that is a bit threatening.
Yeah.
and God bless the Jesus Army, good people, but, the
Well,
smile.
I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, maybe you're right. No, I think they just walked across the water.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
On the politeness front, I tell you what I've had. I was speaking to a dear friend of mine, and she was saying that in Glasgow, she saw some fellows pushing a car, and she had run over to assist them. Well, if they'd asked for her help, and they'd got in to get the car going, and she pushed the car, and they just drove away. And then she said she saw them turn, and they drove back towards her, and she thought, "Oh, here comes my thank you," and they just drove off.
Oh.
Now that's the sort of thing that would nag at me all day. And what's happened to me a couple of times, I've let people into a long London traffic queue and got no hand gesture.
Well, this is the problem, is that now they're saying it's going to become... It's an offence, isn't it? You can get points, or I don't know if you can get points, but you can get fined for that.
For not saying thank you?
No, for saying thank you, for the gesture, because the idea being that you're taking your hands off the wheel and it's potentially...
Flash your lights then.
And you will be fined for that as well.
They can't do
Both
that.
of them
It's
are
the absolute opposite of the chai stop policy. No, we're rewarding rudeness.
We demanded good vibes. We will have them.
Are you suggesting there's a lack of chivalry here?
I am.
Because I was stunned by this, because once I'd read that, I thought, well, maybe they've got an excuse. It gives these people an excuse for their rudeness.
Exactly. What I would like to drive is a car with one of those polling day attachments, the speaker on the top.
Yes.
So you could, if that happened, you could say, "A thank you gesture would not go on this." Wouldn't that be great?
Or could we have some sort of horn music which implied that? Maybe you two can workshop that.
Yes, okay.
What would you, Frank, what would you recommend in the following scenario? I live in a block of flats. There's a lot of people coming and going. If I hold the door open, sometimes what happens is I hold the door for the person who's sort of approaching, because it opens outwards. They walk through, I'm holding the door open. Not only sometimes do they not say thank you, they don't look at you.
It's so rude.
They walk through as if you're like, those liveried soldiers who let Macron through those big doors.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of
my Pope's Guard.
Yes, exactly.
One of my most difficult lift journeys was I lived in flats and I opened the door for this guy and he walked through and I said, "Oh, don't mention it." "Oh, you didn't." And then he said, "Well, are you giving me a lesson in manners?" And I said, "Well, it seems like you need one."
Yeah.
And then we got in the lift together, and that was a toxic atmosphere if ever there was one. Oi, oi, oi. We didn't actually speak, but it was really like... Anyway,
Frank.
You can't teach them. I'm going to give honest with you. I do have, when that happens to me in the car, I have ramming daydreams.
Oh, don't we all, dear?
Of just revving up and just... I mean, don't do this, people.
I don't think you should do it either.
No, just powering. You ever think, well, man, it won't cost that much. Insurance will cover it. Just as a gesture.
Frank, 196, Sally, polite society.
Oh.
What do you think, guys?
It's big again, but I'd say, as Roy Slow Talker Walker used to say on Catchphrase, it's good, but it's not right.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Joe Strahan.
Oh, I thought that was going to be Strummer.
No. She's called At London Puffin, which I
Okay.
quite like. I particularly like Frank's idea of the car megaphone. We should say Frank was just suggesting...
The polling day.
Yeah.
I should think they're getting them a repaint at the moment, the polling day vehicles.
Particularly really like Frank's idea of the car megaphone, as it would sound like Marky Smith. Politeness is the finest condition.
Yeah, well, Marky Smith, she may well be directly referring to, he would use a megaphone on stage, of course.
We got a 9975 says, for Simpsons fans, you could call the shop It Chai and Scratch Chai, which I read out only because of how Midlands it gets you sounding.
Yeah, it does.
Chai and Scratch Chai.
Still doesn't have the
No
politeness.
politeness.
We've had
On the
enough-
megaphone, I did an open top bus in America with a woman saying, and then you're now passing the host of the Liberty Bell, and it was in Philadelphia. And we said, these branches are a bit low. We were on the top deck with her. And she came over and said, I know, it's terrible, that. So I thought, this is really loud and you're in my face. She forgot that she was talking through a megaphone. Sorry, carry on.
Do you remember Sophia?
Oh, yes.
Sophia came up with a suggestion that you weren't so... I didn't feel Frank was so sure about.
I think I said it was good but not right. I don't think anyone's found the killer chai stop one.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a great
I just
effort.
got a few more. So Sophia's submitted another one.
I hope Sophia didn't take it badly.
No, Sophia seems very well adjusted.
Okay.
She has said...
I thought she was in trouble. Oh, doctor, I'm in trouble. Leave it there.
She said, previous to Auntie, how about try a little tenderness?
That's
There we
good,
go.
Sophia. That's...
Are you happy with that?
See, that's someone who... It was all right the first time. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
And then...
She went back.
Yeah.
She's looked up, as the footballers
Yeah.
tense Frank.
Yeah, it's Tony Adams all over.
It really is.
And potentially Boris Johnson, worryingly. The new Gary Barlow.
So it's a toss-up for me between Try a Little Tenderness, Sophia, and At London Puffin, Please Just Try.
Yes. If it was my vote,
Well,
and
I
it's
think
not
it
that
is.
kind of show, we operate in a democracy here. I think
Much to
Try a
your
Little
chagrin.
Tendon. I
Much
like
to your
Try.
shy gran.
Yeah.
Chagrin.
Well, have you met my shy gran? She doesn't go out much. I would go Try a Little Tenderness because I love a comeback. Not every comeback, but I like a comeback. And it was great that she kept on at it, Sophia. And it's lovely. It's got tenderness in it, which suggests politeness. And it begins with chai, so we know what the priorities are. Well done, you. Pierre, it's always an utter joy to be in your company, professionally and personally.
Likewise.
And same goes for all our listeners. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.